Hey guys, Nick here. I wanted to go over two hands that I played in my most recent session. It, they got me back to even. I was kind of running bad. Probably played bad in a few spots. I titled this video Making Value because I get value in both hands, spoiler alert, but they play extremely differently. I'm not going to use the camera today because I'm not feeling too good, but I really wanted to record these hands since I'm uh, they're fresh in my head. So we get ace queen suited, another gun, make it 3x, and everyone calls. Flop comes two deuce, deuce queen five rainbow. It's pretty much the best flop I can get four ways. One, two, three, four, five ways, because the only things that are beating me and are probably going to continue are pocket deuces and pocket fives. I can't see. I mean, maybe one of these players having 2-5, but queen five and queen deuce, they're just so unconnected. So I bet 1.6, which is half. I think it's too big, honestly. I think betting smaller here is fine, like a third, like smaller. You're five ways and you're under the gun, but I am basically telling them my hand. And I don't know if there's anything too wrong with that. Um, I was under the gun. They have to respect my raising range anyways. But I get two callers, which I kind of don't understand. Uh, I I think one of them is maybe has a queen. I'm not going to use the range calculator for this one. And maybe an ace, like straight draw, like someone who has ace four, ace three. So it's an inside straight, but nevertheless, I think that's still kind of a loose call because if he has it, he's not getting out of the call. If he has it, he still needs, 4-1, and he's only. I don't think the odds are there to call. Maybe they are. I don't really care. Turns a 10 of clubs. I mean, of spades, bring in the flush. It's definitely okay to bet half here. I think this is where the sizing is probably okay. I don't think you should be betting 2/3 because Queen 10 is definitely in their range since they did limp. And I assume the sets pre would not raise. I mean, the sets on the flop would not raise until later streets since the flop was so disconnected. And we get a caller. So we go to the river, and the river's an offsuit 4, which is brings ace 3, something I was kind of worried about. But three ways. So it actually took me a while to think about my bet sizing here. He's the effective stack, and my thought process was sets and two pairs. Although two pairs are extremely unlikely because of queen deuce, queen five, five deuce. Five deuce is the only one I could kind of see. I think they would raise flop and try to get it in because I'm representing such a strong range that it beats that range that we can just get it in on the flop. Like he might think ace queen is betting this flop, and if I have 2-5, he's just gonna get ace queen in. So let's get the most money in. So when he called flop and then he called turn, I'm worried about ace four, ace three, and pocket fives and pocket deuces. The reason why pocket tens is not in his range, or pocket fours, is because those fold on the flop. Why would they continue on the flop or even the turn? Mainly because it's multi-way. This guy called, if you remember. So I'm not worried about the backdoor sets. And I think a set raises turn. Queen 10, it brings up a flush draw and technically another straight draw. So what to do on the river? I actually went into the time bank. I don't know why this went already, but I used like all of my time bank and then I jammed because I think based on what I said before, there's so little, there's like almost no two pairs. There's only the set of deuces and fives, which I think raise turn. I think my queen is actually good here. He's either, I think he has literally two hands. Three hands. Ace four, which I obviously beat. Ace three, which I don't beat. Queen king, and so I guess another hand, maybe queen jack. Calling two streets with queen jack is very, I don't know, loose. So, even though by this point on the river, this is how tight ranges get on the river. I'm putting him on like 4 or 5 hand. I'm beating all the hands except for one. I'm not beating ace 3. Continuing ace 3 here is just, I mean, it's ridiculous, but let's think about it this way. So if his range is ace 3, queen king, queen jack, ace 4. This is a very simplified version of doing ranges. I beat these 3. So if his range, if I'm beating 3/4 of his range, I think it's an okay bet. I'm sorry. So he calls, and I scooped the pot. So he probably had queen jack or queen king. I think that's way too loose of a call. But I think what I want you guys to learn from this particular spot is that the river should just jam here. Because if you check and he jams, you're just faced with a decision that is very hard. You probably have to call, and his range is stronger when he bets. Also, another thing, and probably the most important thing, is balance. If you're always betting two streets on these kind of boards with top pair, top kicker, and then on the river you're not betting your top pair, he can exploitively jam anything. Because if you're gonna fold your top pair, top kicker, if you're never gonna 3-barrel bluff, there's many different ways that you can be exploited on this river. If you're never 3-barreling top pair, then you're only 3-barreling better than top pair. So he can when you check, he could jam any two cards and you fold, so he's exploiting you that way. And when you bet, he can exploitively fold, and because he knows you have 2 pair or better, you never show up with top pair here. So from a balance point of view, I think this bet is okay also. I'll move on to the second hand. Hey guys, so this is the second hand, and I have ace king off in the big, and we get a small raise here, so I 3-bet to 2.4. I want to go over sizing before I get into the rest of the hand. I think the sizing is okay, but so yesterday I used a program called Poker Snowy with my friend who uses it a lot. It's basically a bot who plays poker, and it's basically a solutions solver kind of thing. It's really good. And it gives you like suggested play and the EV of like each decision. And the opening sizes, it actually suggests doing like 2.5 times the big blind instead of three. That's so that you're only risking 2.5 to win 4.5 instead of risking three to win 4.5. Um, so it's a little bit better pot odds. Here, the reason why I raise like sort of big, not only am I in the big blind, so here's the button, and I'm out of position. I do have a premium. This sizing's kind of strange. Um, Even though, like I said, like a computer would suggest a sizing like this, it's not standard, and it usually actually means that his holding's pretty weak. Um, let's do a little bit of a calculation. So the pot is let's see. The pot is 1.4, and so I raise more than the pot, but plus my call, it would be actually it'd be 1.5 because of this would be different since it's but anyways, the point is I'm risking so plus 2.4 equals I'm risking 2.4 to win 3 point it would be 3.9. So 2.4 to win 3.9. So I'm actually giving myself 3-1 pot odds. I'm laying, which is okay. I think you could actually make it smaller. Um, Again, like maybe like 2.2. I don't know. I think the sizing's okay though. Like I really was actually happy with the size. Anyways, he folds. He folds. The original Rager calls, and we go three ways to a flop. Flop is 4-3-8. Um, I elect to check. I think here's the thing: we have showdown value with ace high, and we're three ways. Heads up, I would most definitely bet this, and maybe call a raise. But three way, I don't like betting really small, especially now the pot's like kind of bloated, and having someone raise me or even call me and then like a blank on the turn, and I didn't know what to do on the turn. So I think checking here is fine. So I do go ahead and check, and it actually checks around, which is good. Um, I think some people would bet like a third pot here, but I think especially to balance out a range if we're talking about balance. But it just I just like checking better here. I mean we're multi-way. If it was heads up, I think I would bet. Turn is the 10 of clubs, and he checks to me. So I think now after he checks, like like he was the original raiser, and yeah, like a 10 is in his range. Um, I just think when I check to him on the flop, he's gonna bet any hand that's like somewhat good. Like I just think like um any pocket pair over the board is gonna bet the flop. So I kind of like discount any of the, and I even think like diamonds will bet the flop and check to. I mean we're three ways. He's last to act. It's gonna show a lot of strength. I don't want to bring up the hand calculator because I there's just like no point. So I actually thought I was just gonna take this down here. So when he calls, I think okay. So he folded. Um, when he calls, I think, okay, maybe he has a 10, but like what kind of weird 10? Ace 10, king 10, queen 10? I block a combination of aces and king. So, I don't know. It's a really weird call. There's just so little hands that he can have. I mean, maybe he does have diamonds, but like I said, he should bet that on the flop. And I hit my ace. It fills up diamonds, but like I said, I think that's just gonna bet flop. And I think I do what this is the spot where I think a lot of players make a mistake and they would bet this ace. I don't think anything's calling me that is worse than an ace here. I think if I bet, I'm just either never getting called by anything worse or just getting raised by everything better. So I think most players just fire another barrel and then he just makes an easy fold and you miss value. So going through like the topic of the video is he need I I think checking is the best play here and letting him bluff and then we're just gonna check call unless he like jams 60 or it would be like a pot size bet since I'm the effective stack. But like if he bets if he puts me all in, then it's just an easy fold anyways. It's like two pair sets or diamonds. Um, so I think checking's the best. I think check calling is just like the best play here. I checked with the intention of knowing that I have the best hand, letting him bluff. So he bets like half and or like a little bit less doesn't really matter. And this is just like an automatic call. So what he actually had was Queen Jack. So I actually saw this hand. I'm sorry. So I actually was able to see it because he showed the last aggressive action, and he had Queen Jack. So he had a gutter ball. But I think he had a diamond blocker. So the point of this whole hand is that a lot of players who bet the turn and then hit their pair on hit top pair hit top kicker on the river uh, won't will just bet and then don't give him any uh, chance to bluff at the pot. You lose value. So I think the whole point of this video is the river check. Check the river. I think checking the river was the best play. He bluffs and I just catch his bluff, which is like an easy play. If he has diamonds, he has diamonds. But like I said, I think diamonds bets flop and probably then continues turn. So knowing that I have the best hand on the river, I checked for value to induce. I actually checked to induce. Me and my friend were going over a funny hand, and I I actually did check to induce a bluff, and he paid me off. So instead of just going on autopilot and betting the river because you think you have the best hand, what can call you here? No 10 is calling you. Yeah, ace 10's calling you, but that it, ace 10's raising you actually, and so then you got to fold anyways. So keeping his range wide and calling the river uh, is definitely the best play here. So these are the two hands I want to show you, and I think this hand in particular, I think this hand was very instructive because a lot of people misplay this type of hand very often, and it's these little types of. I mean, that was a pretty big bet on the river. It's these little types of hands that you need to do over and over again to actually win in the long run. So, all right, thanks guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.